My name is Marvin Bryson, and I'm the author of the self-help book Expectancy. I'd like to welcome you to our 3 quick questions for the Caregiver series. My guest today is Brian Yeldell. Hi, Brian. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Marvin?
I can't really complain. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. up until I was about 10 or 11 years old. Upon graduation from Carroll High School, I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta. Came out, worked a couple years, went back and got my graduate degree. After that time, I worked a little bit in corporate America at IBM, worked at Bank of America. And then I began my entrepreneurial life, which also I was doing that on the side anyway. Had a pretty successful marketing and promotions business. In '96, I got married, had a couple of children. My daughters are 16 and 18 years old now. One is on her way to college, and the other one is currently a junior in high school. And I still do entrepreneurial work in real estate development. Also do a lot of political campaigning and operative work. A lot of volunteering as well. And that pretty much keeps me busy.
That sounds great. Seems like you got a lot going on. Share your caregiving experience with us.
Sure. Being the youngest of 6 children, my parents weren't particularly old, but they were a little older than a lot of my peers, which means that they passed away pretty early in my life. My dad had he had a stroke when I was approximately 34 years old, 35 years old, right before I got married. After which he was in pretty much bedridden. My dad was a longtime season ticket holder for the Washington football team, and we went to a lot of games. So I would go see him, try to cheer him up. He never really lost his spirits, even though he lost a lot of his mobility. Largely, my caregiving with my dad was not necessarily relegated because my sisters and his wife hovered. Mine was kind of relegated to guy things, if you will, to keep him in a guy mood, watch football, watch basketball. My father wasn't a drinker, so we didn't sit around and drink. But we did. Before he got sick, I would have to say he was the life of the party. He was the kind of guy who wore the lampshade. And so to a large extent, it saddened me because he was quite a fraction of himself. So I did visit him a lot. However, it was hard on me because I knew the former self. So he actually passed away in 2000, about 5 years after he got a stroke. And quite frankly, it's hard for me to say, but I'll go ahead and say it. I was glad to see him out of his pain because, again, I had known such a lively gentleman. So that was my caregiving with my dad. My mom had cancer, lung cancer. She contracted it in about 99. She never really went down, if you will. She had treatments, but she always kept a good spirit. My mother did a lot of volunteering, which is probably where I got it from. So she stayed very active throughout her cancer. And it went into remission probably in 2001. And she seemed okay. We talked about it. She said she was doing fine. And quite frankly, in 2003, in October, I was on a trip. And I got a call from my siblings. I said I need to come home pretty quickly because my mother was going into home hospice. And quite frankly, this may sound not irresponsible, but naive. But frankly, I didn't know what hospice was.
As you know, I just completed a manuscript for the second edition of my book. And ironically enough, I spoke about the same thing that you did regarding not clearly understanding the difference between skilled nursing, assisted living, palliative care, and hospice, and also self-care. Those are the new chapters in the book, as it were, and how I kind of wrap things up. That's why I did the second edition. So don't feel alone in the whole hospice thing.
So I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Okay, I'm going to be all right." But in my estimation, that was her telling me that she was comfortable with the fact that she was in hospice and she was really not going to be around long. And probably about 10 days later, it actually happened to be Howard homecoming weekend, October the 10th, 2003. And I got a call. I felt bad because I wasn't there, but she had passed away about 3 hours before I got there. So those are my two caregiving experiences.
I can relate to pretty much everything you said, and that's been another unexpected, I guess, revelation with the book. I think it's helped a lot of people in the caregiving community. At least that's the feedback I've gotten. Feel like they're not alone in the situation. So, with that being said, have you read the book?
I have not, Marvin, but I really plan to do so. There's no real reason why I hadn't. I guess you didn't write it when I was dealing with caregiving immediately. I don't know if this is important or germane, but my sister had lupus, my oldest sister, and she never was really, really sick. She actually she did have cancer, but it went into remission. And she just got sick about. She passed in May, and while we were close, she lived with her daughter and her son-in-law, and she was never really, i.e., sick as in bedridden or anything like that. She got sick, and 10 days later, she passed away. But I do plan on reading the book as I enter my what I would call the end of the third quarter for me. There's still people older than me that may require such.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, because it's for folks like you and me who are approaching retirement. It's for younger folks who want to set up a retirement plan for one of their parents and things like that. And what the book really does, it doesn't tell you what to do, but I think in sharing my experiences, it helps you figure out what questions you want to ask. Because if you don't know the right questions to ask, how can you get the right answers?
Correct.
And fortunately, or not unfortunately, as a practical matter, my caregiving experience with my mom pretty much covered the gamut, with my dad being a veteran and things like that. And she lived 30 some odd years into retirement. So there's a lot of good tidbits in the book about that. So basically, that's about it. I don't want to take up a ton of your time. So is there any closing thoughts that you would like to leave with our viewers regarding caregiving, life planning, things of that nature?
Well, again, I guess one of the things, because one was long, one was very short as far as my two parents are concerned. I would just give kind of life things, and those life things, not necessarily caregiving, but love on the people who you love. Let them know that you love them. Visit them often, because as I said, my mother and I were very close. It's no big secret in my family that I was the favorite. So we spent a lot of time together, particularly when I was young. And we had an annual trip that we took. And, I'm glad I told her how much I loved her. And quite frankly, I don't know how, again, important this is, but even though my mom and I were close and I left it all on the field, I believe, one of the things that quote unquote haunted me, and I talked to my sister about it, and I probably called her 3 times over the next 6 months and asked her, I said, do you think she knew how much I loved her? Because my sister lived with my mom, my sister's entire life. She never lived anywhere else. So she lived with my mom, so they were very close as well. And so that was the big thing with me, that I leave it all on the field. My mom actually did very right by us by being a single mother. She put 3 sons through college, me and my other brother through Catholic school, my sister through Catholic school, and she was a secretary. So, she did right by us. I think we did right by her.
I appreciate, you taking the time to be with us today and sharing some personal information. And
Sure.
like I was saying, this whole situation is really tough, on anyone. And my biggest thing is I'm just trying to raise awareness and try to help people get out in front of caregiving instead of everything being a counterpunch. Because, it's like anything else, a lot of us neglect financial planning and care planning and things of that nature. everybody's just hustling, trying to get through the day. So again, thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, I have one other thing to say, Marvin. I think well, not I think I do like your motto or your subtitle, which is "Start the Conversation." So I think that's something that I will take with my siblings. We lost actually two siblings now, and so my other brother is pretty healthy, but he's about 10 years older than me, so we never know. He's approaching 70.
Well, the great thing about that is the first book is a really good icebreaker, and it's not super long. It's right under 100 pages, and the second edition is a little bit more involved. So
Okay.
I think the second edition, when it comes out, is going to be for people who want to do a deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
But the first edition is really like an icebreaker, because there's enough meat on that bone to make people posit their situation. Like, like, what would I do? What are we going to do? And particularly as people of color, we really gotta fight hard to maintain our generational wealth.
Right.
It's such a critical thing, really, to anyone's survival.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mark.